Namaste and welcome to our continuing series, The Synthesis of Yoga with Ranganath. Today we are going to start at page number 36 by Samadhi, the last paragraph.
We will read the para first and then we'll come back to each sentence. By Samadhi, in which the mind acquires the capacity of withdrawing from its limited waking activities into freer and higher states of consciousness, Raja Yoga serves a double purpose. It compasses a pure mental action liberated from the confusions of the outer consciousness and passes thence to the higher supramental planes on which the individual soul enters into its true spiritual existence. But also, it acquires the capacity of that free and concentrated energizing of consciousness on its object, which our philosophy asserts as the primary cosmic energy and the method of divine action upon the world. By this capacity, the yogin, already possessed of the highest supracosmic knowledge and experience in the state of trance, is able in the waking state to acquire directly whatever knowledge and exercise, whatever mastery may be useful or necessary to his activities in the objective world. For the ancient system of Raj Yoga aimed not only at Swarajya, self-rule or subjective empire, the entire control by the subjective consciousness of all the states and activities proper to its own domain, but included Samrajya as well, outward empire, the control of the subjective consciousness of its outer activities and environment. So, he is talking of Samadhi. Now, Samadhi can be of two types. The word Sama, Samadhi. Dhi is the mind and Sama means absolutely equal if you want. So, equal at any 2 points, there is no variation. So, it's absolutely without variation. In other words, it becomes a silent mind. Okay? There is no thought at all in it. Or even if there is a thought, the soul has come out and the soul is absolutely free from the body-mind life. By Samadhi, in which the mind acquires the capacity of withdrawing from its limited waking activities into freer and higher states of consciousness. So, the limited waking activities are our awareness of the physical world. I am aware of all of you here, but if I close my eyes, to a certain extent I have withdrawn from the outer activities, limited waking activities. If I close my ears also, it will be even more. So I am withdrawing. I am concentrating more on my own inner state. So when you withdraw entirely, you lose your outer consciousness. Others will think you are either sleeping or you are in trance. They will not think that you are awake. They will not be able to, even if you speak to them, the voice may come and disturb you, but if you are in deep samadhi, you will not come out of it easily. Okay, so that is samadhi, in which the mind acquires the capacity of withdrawing from its limited waking activities into freer and higher states of consciousness. So very clearly Swami is saying, when you withdraw from the physical world, and even your body reactions and mental reactions and vital reactions, you are entering into a consciousness which is far, far, far superior to your normal consciousness, and you can also have a certain wideness, calmness and understanding of things which is far superior to your waking consciousness. Raj Yoga serves a double purpose. It compasses a pure mental action, liberated from the confusions of the outer consciousness. So, we'll look at each phrase. He is talking about pure mental action. When we are thinking, is it a pure mental action? Usually not, because the vital is interfering, there is desire coming in, our emotions are coming in and shaping and coloring our own thinking. So all these things are not pure mental activity. Pure mental activity is only thought without the interference of body and mind. That is the pure mental activity. Pure mental action, liberated from the confusion of the outer consciousness. The outer consciousness is possible because of our senses. And so you must make your senses absolutely immobile. That's usually the method. They often use physical methods also. They can close their eyes and even earplugs, or go to the attic, or remain withdrawn into your own room where there is no disturbance. This sort of thing can happen. Okay. In fact, very often the outer consciousness can have a very can have a strong pull, and if you are in deep samadhi also, it can pull you down into the physical world. There is a very interesting, if you read Mother's experience of the supramental boat, there is a very interesting thing she says there. She says that she was in the supramental boat and she was arranging everything, and she had gone there with her not trance consciousness. She says she had gone there with her normal consciousness. That's very interesting. The normal consciousness, that has risen to the supramental plane, not her pure mental action. Okay? And she says that she was organizing everything, and suddenly she felt that she's being pulled back into her body. And she didn't want to go. She said, I don't want to, this is so wonderful here. I want to spend a little more time and understand what the supramental world is all about. But she was pulled back, and when she came back into her body, the clock was striking 3. So it is that pulled her back. Or in other cases, if the phone is ringing or the doorbell is ringing, you will be disturbed. Or your mother is calling you, dinner is ready, come, or whatever, you will be disturbed. So, but this, if you are in really deep sleep, you won't be disturbed. There is a story about Vivekananda. He was sitting in the garden and in deep trance, and his body was full of mosquitoes, covered with mosquitoes. Yet he was in trance. Nothing disturbed him. He was absolutely plunged in that inner consciousness. That is samadhi. Okay? So that's what they're saying here. So it has got 2 actions. It has got. So he'll explain what those actions are. Okay? One is Swarajya and one is Samrajya. So Raj Yoga serves a double purpose. It compasses a pure mental action liberated from the confusions of the outer consciousness and passes thence to the higher supramental planes on which the individual soul enters into its true spiritual existence. 2 things to be noted here. Supramental with a hyphen in between. He is not talking of the supramental. He is talking of planes above the mind. Supramental. Often he uses without a hyphen also. So you have to be very, very careful as to where he is using that word. Okay? So supramental planes on which the individual soul. Now the individual soul can be your psychic being, or it can also be the self. Okay? If it is the self, it's your individual self, but you see yourself to be infinite there and without location in time and space. So you become infinite. The individual soul becomes a universal soul. Okay? In samadhi. So liberated from the confusion of the supramental planes on which the individual soul enters into its true spiritual existence. The true spiritual existence is freedom from body-mind life. You don't identify yourself with body-mind life. What do you identify yourself with? You identify yourself with the infinite. You have become the infinite. You are not located anywhere, one place in space and time. Okay? So, but also it acquires the capacity of that free and concentrated energizing of consciousness on an object, its object, which our philosophy asserts as a primary cosmic energy and the method of divine action upon the world. Now, this is interesting. But also it acquires the capacity of that free and concentrated energizing of consciousness. In other words, when we are at our level of consciousness identified with body-mind life, I may have a will, but it is very limited. I can't use that will for anything I want to do. But when I am in the higher level of consciousness, not imprisoned in my body, mind, life, the power I have there can be very, very effective. Free and energizing of consciousness. He's using the word energizing of concentrated energy. If you concentrate your energy onto one point, it acquires a tremendous amount of power. Just like sunlight. Sunlight is diffused, and if you take a magnifying glass and concentrate all that into one spot, you will be able to burn cloth or paper or anything. Exactly in the same way, when you concentrate your mind, it acquires energy of a vastness which is not available to you normally. That's what he's saying. Energizing of consciousness on its object. So whatever you want to do, you will be able to do much easier, which our philosophy asserts as a primary cosmic energy. So what's the primary cosmic energy? It is Shakti which is there everywhere. Now this energy which is there, you don't see the energy, it is there everywhere. What you see is the results of that energy. You see the wind blowing, you see the clouds flowing, you see the river flowing, you see the sunlight coming, you feel the sunlight. These are all, Srimad uses the word energism. They are manifestations of energy. Energy itself you don't see. Just like you don't see electricity, but you know its effects. The fan is whirling, the air conditioner is whirling, my heater is working. You see the effects of energy, but not the energy itself. So when he is speaking of the primary cosmic energy, it's a divine Shakti which is there at the universal level. Now you have access to that if you are out of your body, mind, life. Okay? So, and the method of divine action upon the world. So, you can, when you are not trammeled, when you are not imprisoned by your body, mind, life, your consciousness has the power to focus its energy on a particular object and attain it. Okay? This is what he is saying. By this capacity, the yogin, already possessed of the highest supracosmic knowledge and experience in the state of trance, trance obviously means you are not aware of the physical world. Okay, so is able in the waking state to acquire directly whatever knowledge and exercise, whatever mastery may be useful or necessary to his activities in the objective world. So here there are two things. You may be in samadhi, but you are not conscious of the physical world. But you may be in samadhi, but you are also conscious of the physical world. You can call that the waking samadhi. So when you are in the waking samadhi, you have access to that power. Okay? But in the beginning, you rise in consciousness, you are not aware of your body, mind, life, and you are pulled back. As I said just now, the clock rings or whatever, you are back. In the beginning, you may not have the power. The power is there. Here you may not have that power. But anyway, your knowledge is much vaster and your power of concentrating even in the physical world increases. Okay? So he's saying, by this capacity the yogin, already possessed of the highest supracosmic knowledge and experience in the state of trance, is able in the waking state to acquire directly whatever knowledge and exercise whatever mastery may be useful or necessary to his activities in the objective world. Okay? In the outer world. Not inside, but he's talking about outside. Obviously, when you experience the higher levels of consciousness, you are much more in control of yourself. Your emotions, your thoughts, and your even physical actions you can control. But he is saying that you can control even the physical world. And that's what Srimad is doing. At the end of the para, we'll come back to what he was doing with this power. Okay, so may be useful for activities in the objective world. For the ancient system of Raj Yoga aimed not only at Swarajya, self-rule or subjective empire, the total entire control of the subjective consciousness of all the states and activities proper to its own domain, but included Samrajya as well, outward empire, the control of the subjective consciousness of its outer activities and environment. So, Swarajya, you are master of yourself. You can control the desires will not control you. You will control your desires. Actually, control is a word which is that means you have to struggle a little bit to control. But if you are in that consciousness, absence of desires is better than control. Control means desire is coming and you are able to stop it. But in that consciousness, there is more absence of desire. That is, so there is no control as such. But
Like in
you have to use the
control,
word.
I feel the mind is involved. Like through the mental power, we control our actions and reactions. But
It is not mental. Mental power has a certain effect on your desires.
right,
But pure mental action, higher. He's talking of he's using the word highest supracosmic knowledge. So it's not mental action. Mental action, try, you may be able to control your vital for one day or for one particular desire. Another desire will come up, you will not be able to control it. Okay? So that's what he's saying. Then, so he is talking of Swarajya and Samrajya. Swarajya, a yogi becomes fully in control of his own thoughts and his own vital feelings. Okay? It may be emotions or sensations, whatever. Even his physical actions he will be able to control. But Samrajya is you are able to now control events in the physical world. That's the beauty of it. Samrajya is the outer empire. Swarat and Samrat. Samrat is the one who is emperor. He is not just a small kingdom. He is not a landlord or something. He is a vast. Samrat is an empire. Okay, so what was Sri Aurobindo doing? Why is Sri Aurobindo saying all this? Because when he was in that consciousness, he was actually experimenting with the powers that he had acquired. First of all, he experimented in very simple ways. He used to look at animals and see whether he can put his will on them. Okay? There's a crow sitting on that branch of the tree. To experiment and see what the power really is, he would say, I want that crow to go and sit on the parapet. And he would energize his consciousness and put there, make a will, and then watch. Okay? In the record of yoga, all the experiments are there.
Yes.
And he says the first time, it did not come to the parapet. That means his will was not strong enough. Then it went somewhere else and then came to the parapet. So it took some time to do it. Okay, but later on he was able to exercise his will perfectly well. So he graduated from animals to human beings also. Someone is walking in the road, he come and he is on the crossroad. Now Sri Aurobindo wills him to turn left and see whether he is going to do that or not. Okay, so this sort of thing he was going on. Finally, he came to controlling even world events. He was controlling the conditions in the Second World War. We all know about Dunkirk.
Yes.
Okay. Then he was also controlling events in Ireland. He was helping the Sinn Féin movement. He also says he succeeded in making Turkey from a khilafat. The Khalif was the reigning king there. But he brought it to a modern democratic republic through Kemal Atatürk. So he was successful in that. Now, of course, Turkey is going back to its old Islamic ways. But this is what he was able to do. He was able to also influence the Russian Revolution.
Mm-hmm. But do you feel that kind of a direct influence is still happening right now? Or?
That's a question which is not very easy to answer. When you have a body-mind life, there is the element of a personal will. But when you don't have a body-mind life, there is no personality anymore. So your will is that of the divine. So you can't say that the Sri Aurobindo is doing that. You can't say.
Because it's a mixture.
The limited Sri Aurobindo.
Yes,
because he is now one with the divine. He has no will of his own.
Right.
His will has been aligned with that of the divine. So the
So it
divine influence is certainly being enacted on the world.
enacted. Now it depends on our receptivity if we are able to
Yes.
connect to the
Yeah.
personal aspect
And
of
that's
the
why the
divine.
progress is so slow in the cosmos.
Right.
Evolution is slow because of that. Okay? So Swarat and Samrat. Okay? So we go to the next one. He is discussing Raj Yoga. Huh? We perceive that as Hatha Yoga, dealing with the life and body, aims at the supernormal perfection of the physical life and its capacities and goes beyond it into the domain of a mental life, so Raj Yoga, operating with the mind, aims at a supernormal perfection and enlargement of the capacities of the mental life and goes beyond it into the domain of spiritual existence. By the weakness, but the weakness of the system lies in its excessive reliance on abnormal states of trance. Okay? This limitation leads first to a certain aloofness from the physical life, which is our foundation, and the sphere into which we have to bring our mental and spiritual gains. Especially is the spiritual life in this system too much associated with the state of samadhi. Our object is to make the spiritual life and its experiences fully active and fully utilizable in the waking state and even in the normal use of the functions. But in Raj Yoga, it tends to withdraw into a subliminal plane at the back of our normal experiences instead of descending and possessing our whole existence. So, not a very big para, but what he's saying, we'll understand what he's saying. We perceive that, I'm reading from the beginning, we perceive that as Hatha Yoga, dealing with life and body, the Hatha Yoga is starting with the perfection of vital and body, physical, by asanas and by pranayama, and goes, once this is fairly perfect, it goes to the mental activity. So Raj Yoga is starting with the mental activity and going into the supreme, above the mind. That's what he's saying. Okay? We perceive that as Hatha Yoga, dealing with the life and body, aims at the supernormal perfection of the physical life and its capacities and goes beyond it into the domain of mental life. So Raj Yoga, operating with the mind, starting with the mind, aims at a supernormal perfection and enlargement of the capacities of mental life and goes beyond it into the domain of spiritual existence. So, if you want to put it in geographical terms, okay, we often speak of level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is matter, life, and mind. Normally, human beings are at that level. We are identified with our life, our body, and our mind. We think, this is what I am. You are not. You are pure soul, and you are housed in the body mind life. You have occupied your body mind life. You can come out of your body mind life also. So, this is level 1. So, spiritual plane of consciousness is level 2. You have come out of your body mind life and you are in the spiritual planes of consciousness, which gives you a far, far greater knowledge, far, far greater power, far, far greater ananda also. Not necessarily all the three, and not necessarily that everybody will have all the three. Sometimes you need not have, but you will have peace. You may not have ananda. You may not have power also, but you will have peace and calm and quiet and sense of release, freedom. So, the spiritual planes of consciousness, level 2. Okay? And there, according to Srim's system, there are 4 planes. Higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, overmind. These planes are all very specific characteristics are there. Very briefly, I may mention what they are. And then third level is the supramental. So, the physical world is obviously full of imperfections. You go to the spiritual world, which is level 2, those imperfections are largely set right, but still there are problems in the in the spiritual world. You go to the third level, those problems are also settled. And you come to know all the mysteries and those things which you did not understand in the physical world, you come to know when you go to the third level. It's very difficult, not easy to do that.
But is there always a constant exchange between the 3 levels?
Yes. You have also got to have that's what he will tell you afterwards. We'll read that towards the end of the para. what happens is, when I rise into the higher planes of consciousness, as I told you, we are pulled back. Okay, the gravitational pull of our imperfections pulls you down into your body mind life. You remember the experience, and it has got a very vast. Your life will change to a certain extent, but you have lost that consciousness. You are not in that consciousness anymore. You remember the experience, but you don't have that power and that glory of that spiritual plane of consciousness. So, repeatedly when it happens, you can locate your consciousness at that level permanently. But normally it doesn't happen permanently, it comes down. Okay? So, in reverse spiritual. But now Srimta is pointing out the weakness of the Raj Yoga method. The weakness of the system, but mind you, the Raj Yogins themselves will not say it's a weakness. That's the nature of our. But according to Srimta, because he has a different viewpoint, it's a weakness, okay, which he doesn't want in his yoga. That's what we will see. But the weakness of the system lies in its excessive reliance on abnormal states of trance. In other words, you give tremendous amount of importance to the non-waking trance. But Srimanta wants you to have a waking trance. He wants you to be in that consciousness even in the physical world. I am talking to you, I am answering the phone, yet my consciousness is there. Okay, that's what he wants. But the Rajyogin will not be able to do that. I mean, they don't pay enough attention to that. That's what he's saying. But he's saying abnormal states of trance. According to him, it's abnormal state. Normal state would be the waking consciousness.
Like sometimes when I'm at Sabda, a lot of people are asking questions about meditation. So, for them meditation means like, seeing light and, when they are in that inner state. But of course, meditation is more than that. Like, it is a means for one to engage into the outer life as well. So, many times like meditation is associated with these sort of what he's talking about, these abnormal states of trance.
Seeing of light and feeling the ananda, all these are the effect of meditation. Meditation and contemplation, these are all words which one has to understand. Okay, there are, in fact, in Raj Yoga, he will tell you, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. There are three things. Dharana is the capacity to hold on to a thought. Dharana, dhyana. Dhyana is meditation. That is, you are thinking. There is activity in the mind, but it's along one line. Okay, I am thinking of freedom. I am not thinking of dinner. I am not thinking of what is their program in the playground today. I am thinking only of that. That is dhyana. Samadhi is no thought at all. And even in samadhi, there are several types of samadhis. One is absolutely no thought, blankness. The other is the capacity of only seeing what you want to see. So they are different. Samprajnata, asamprajnata is the words used. Okay, so there are different types of samadhis also. But basically three. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi. That's the end of the mental process in Raj Yoga. Okay, so meditation, when you say, it is concentrating on one thing only. Seeing of light, experiencing ananda or power or peace is the end product of meditation. Okay, so this limitation, the limitation of non-waking trance, this limitation leads first to a certain aloofness from the physical life, which is our foundation and the sphere into which we have to bring our mental and spiritual gains. So, the body, mind and life are the foundation. So, if I have a ground floor and a first floor, if I want to go to the first floor, it's very good, because there the view is better, the air is good, but you have to take care of your ground floor also. So I'm saying, bring that atmosphere of the first floor into the ground floor. That's what he's saying. Okay, he is not satisfied only with the first floor; he wants the ground floor. So, this limitation. So he's saying the physical life is our foundation and the sphere into which we have to bring our mental and spiritual gains. This is the descent that you are talking about. Once you have got that experience, you come down here. Ascent is easier than descent. Descent is to pull that down into the physical world. Not that easy. Not that easy. Because, why? It's not easy. Light cannot come into darkness. Okay, so you have to clear the darkness. You cannot pour pure water into a glass of dirty water. The dirty water is going to affect that pure water. So it will not come very easily. You have to make your glass first full of pure water, then the other one can come in. So that's why you have to purify yourself for that.
Like I am remembering there was one disciple during Sri Aurobindo's time, and he would always come into Sri Aurobindo's room and he would make the glass upside down. And do you know of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not in Sri Aurobindo's room.
Okay. Where? I don't know where.
This was the hint given to him
Okay.
that first you have to empty this thing that you have.
Uh-huh.
Then only it will fill up with good
Right,
water.
right.
Okay. So that's it. That was the hint given. There is a mention of that, and that's a well-known yogic thing.
Yeah.
You have to empty first get rid of your desires, get rid of attachments, get rid of your ego. Then only the other thing can come in. It's like if you keep your door in your room, I've got a lot of things, okay? And it's so full of other things that the other things can't come in anymore. So first of all, you have to get rid of your old furniture to let the new furniture come in. So you have to get rid of all these things. That's true. That emptying of the glass is that. It's a well-known image in yoga. Okay. So Sarah is saying that that's what we have to do. This limitation leads first to a certain aloofness from the physical life. Why? Because if I'm in my normal consciousness, I don't enjoy that bliss and that peace. So naturally I want to go there. So I don't care for the physical world. That's what he's saying. There's an aloofness from the physical world. Okay. Which is our foundation, our sphere, into which we have to bring our mental and spiritual gains. Those things you have to pull down into your... Yeah. Especially is the spiritual life in this system too, in this system. Okay. Which system? Raj Yoga. Especially in the spiritual life, in this system, too much associated with the state of samadhi. Our object is to make spiritual life and experiences fully active and fully utilizable in the waking state and even in the normal use of the functions. So, when he's speaking of our object, what's he saying? He's saying those who follow the integral path. Okay, it's not our object. Our is very specific in the integral yoga. Our object is to have not only on the first floor, but I also want the power on the ground floor. That's what he's saying. Even when I am in my body, mind, life identified, I want that consciousness operative and utilizable in the physical world. Okay? So especially in the spiritual life in the system, too much associated with the state of samadhi. Our object is to make the spiritual life and its experiences fully active and fully utilizable in the waking state and even in the normal use of its functions. What are the functions? Thinking, emoting, and physical action. They are the normal. So even these have to be affected by the spiritual consciousness. That's what he's saying. The last question, our object is to make spiritual life fully active and fully utilizable in the waking state and even in the normal use of the functions. But in Raj Yoga, it tends to withdraw into a subliminal plane, okay, at the back of our normal experiences instead of descending and possessing our whole existence. He has spoken about the subliminal plane. You must remember one thing, that the individual is nothing but the cosmos in a concentrated manner. So, if you, like in your computer, the file occupies too much space, you zip it and make it less. So, this is exactly what you have to do. The individual is a zipped universe. Whatever is there in the universe is there in the human being. There is matter in the universe, you have a body corresponding to that. There is prana, shakti in the universe, you have a vital corresponding to that. You have the vast mental plane of thought, and you have your mind concentrated from that. At the highest level, there is divine, and that also is there in you. So everything is there which is outside is also there in you. Okay? He's saying that if you are the cosmos, what are the parts of the cosmos? There is a subconscious and an inconscious. Then there is a subliminal. He calls that the intraconscious. So the subliminal is below the surface. So he is usually referring to that as horizontal, but the psychic being is in the subliminal. You have to enter deep into yourself and horizontally go in. Horizontal and vertically is the superconscious. So superconscious, intraconscious, subconscious, inconscious. There is even something called the circumconscious, your aura. There is a small layer of consciousness around your body, and you can become conscious of that. That's your aura. So all this is what you are. So he's saying you have to make that descend into this your subliminal plane. From that plane, you have to bring it down into your normal body-mind life. Descend. Okay, that's why in Sri Ramdas Yoga, descent is so important. The other yogas, they don't pay much attention to descent. They are interested only in ascent. They don't care for the body-mind life. You have ascended there, and now the body-mind life is old and rigid and will die anyway, so you don't bother about it at all. The soul has entered there, you are very happy. Okay, so the triple path of devotion, knowledge and works, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, attempts the province which Raj Yoga leaves unoccupied. It differs from Raj Yoga in that it does not occupy itself with the elaborate training of the whole mental system as the conditions of perfection, but seizes on some certain central principles, the intellect, the heart, the will, and seeks to convert their normal operations by turning them away from the ordinary and external preoccupations and activities and concentrating them on the divine. It differs also in this, and here from the point of view of an integral yoga, there seems to be a defect, that it is indifferent to mental and bodily perfection and aims only at purity as a condition of the divine realization. A second defect is that as actually practiced, it chooses one of the three parallel paths exclusively and almost in antagonism to the others, instead of effecting a synthetic harmony of the intellect, the heart, and the will in an integral divine realization. We'll go into a little detail next time, so we stop here today.